I've been pondering for the longest time, a few good years that is, whether or not to unleash this enormity upon the world. Well, here it is, the product of over 30 years of work, untainted knowledge, extracted from unconventional places. Unconventional, supposedly, they're not places, but they're actually contexts of information where the human politics and unclean intention could never reach. These are rumors from the House of Jack. What is this House of Jack, one might wonder? Well, we shall bite into this most succulent mystery soon enough. As about the gentleman in the first shot, he happens to be my twin, a full-grown eon mind entity, holding its latest achievement, his latest catch, a much sought-after bit of her, the absolute woman, the centermost piece to the story of the child, and the greatest love. We shall call this Jack versus Death, or the tiny cog versus the infinite machine of death. Jack, as in free Jack spirit, a human mind just about to break free from the unforgiving clutches of this reality, this specific here and now, which happens to be no more, no less than a most intelligent and super complex machine of death, conceived and operated by an ultra sophisticated supermind known as the black-veiled widow, the mournful widow, in other words, Chimera velata nigris, you can call her in Latin, or dark chimera, or simply put, Kai Tao. We shall refer to it as by that name, the name of Kai Tao. Let it be known to all who come in contact with this information that this is an effort on account of the Eon Mind Collective. Despite the appearance of a civilized, evolved, organized, good-willed society that we live in, the harsh reality is that we as human beings, or human minds, find ourselves constantly and continuously under a spell of death, so insidious, so perfectly orchestrated to the most minute detail that the human mind will not even realize its presence, cannot sense it at all, and it will waste its temporal resources unawarely following its directives, hurrying thusly to an undeserved early demise. Much opposed to this death spell of the dark chimera are the destinic drives, meaning they have something to do with destiny. One's destiny, humanity's destiny. And these are the destinic drives instilled onto each mind at the time of inception. Inception, which means creation of a mind, any mind, be it human, alien, extraterrestrial, within a physical body, without a physical body, a mind nevertheless with or without a physical vehicle, and which was created. The process of mind creation is actually the fractal projection, but about it we shall talk a little bit later. These destinic drives, which were instilled upon the mind inception, should intrinsically guide each mind, in our case human minds, towards the greatest love story. For you see, Each mind's destiny, given by Source itself, is to become part, an integral part, an active participating part of the greatest love story that there ever was, is, and ever will be. However, in order to get to the love part, we need to shed some light upon the greatest, most imminent danger that the human mind is totally unaware of, even though this threat lay right in front of our eyes and all around us. Death, the sordid and most terrifying affair for the human mind to face, is nothing as portrayed in the good books. There is no continuation, as rumored in all spiritual traditions, no reincarnation, no paradise or hell, no eternal life, etc. This reality, this lifetime, is the only chance awarded to the newly conceived experiential mind, human mind, in our case, to achieve immortality by awakening to the true reality. Instead, the human mind will blindly spend its given lifetime in unawareness and under the chimeric spell of death, straying further and further from the endowed destiny, thusly assuring oneself of an absolute and irrevocable death, an inglorious end to what should have been one's first step onto the road towards immortality, infinity, eternity, call it what you will, or you can call it one's journey towards experience unending. Rather difficult to swallow, isn't it? Your mind tells you that it simply cannot be true. Your human goals and ideals that were dictated to you by your parents, society, friends, media, religion, etc. They all cry foul. Your indoctrination and mind conditioning will not admit that kind of truth. Still, deep within you, your original destiny resonates strangely right, and you can feel that too. My advice, give serious heed to that resonant feeling, allowing into your mind a bit of doubt regarding the apparent status quo, at the same time creating a bit of flexibility of mind, enough to admit that this information might be true and legit. In other words, your magnificent, unique, and absolutely specific mind has been hijacked. Your focus of mind perversely diverted, thusly depriving your true being of its true destiny and its rightful participation in the greatest love story ever. Still, not to worry, for here comes into play the much needed help under the guise of free jack spirits, an emerging wave of free minds who have freed themselves from the spell of the dark chimera, no longer under its toxic and murderous spell, back on the track towards reconnecting with the original destiny, at the same time claiming their source-given right to become part of the greatest love story, the story greater than creation itself. But more on this House of Jack, Free Jack that is, soon enough. For now, we need to get back to the business of dying a wrong and absolute death. Slightly different from what one might know on the subject of mind, one's being, one's human being, is comprised of a mind entity, which happens to be a second generation fractal of the spirit parent. We shall call that a sparklet, which lessened its resonance in order to form an outer layer, a lesser mind, forming thus a lesser mind, an existential mind, whom in turn has lessened its resonance in order to form yet another outermost layer, mind, entity. The experiential mind, in our case, the human mind, also known as the human soul. All of these connected in the most subtle way to a genetic mind, a physical vehicle, known and experienced as the body. In short, there's a point of infinite energy, a battery of sorts, at the core of an experiential being, human being in our case. We shall call that a sparklet, the battery, for the sparklet, surrounded by an existential mind, which happens to be the carrier of the original destiny and repository of experiential information obtained by way of direct experience, human experience in our case. Said experiential information's relevance to the original destiny should become the bonding agent between the sparklet and the existential mind. However, due to the dark chimera's persuasion, the perverted experiential information no longer resonates relevant to the original destiny and gets repulsed by the sparklet, therefore producing the gravest internal conflict, which, unless remedied, shall lead to absolute death. Back to the anatomy of the experiential or human being. We have a point of infinite energy at the core, the sparklet, surrounded by the original operating system, which is also a database, the existential mind, in turn surrounded by an interface to the reality where one spends one's lifetime, an experiential mind commonly known as human mind or human soul. All of them connected to a genetic mind, and the subtlest of ways, whose job is to manage the physical vehicle. And here comes the grisly details regarding one's demise. Whether awakened to the true reality or not, the human beings shall undergo the same procedure. All human beings shall undergo the same procedure at the time of death, demise, expiration of the body, call it what you will. The components of the human being mentioned above shall split ways at the time of death. Of the soul shall meet the deceiver / anesthetist, which shall present it the final deception, let's call it. It shall be shown a mirror-like image of images extracted from the soul's mind, images of desires, wants, needs, and they will be presented as paradise, heaven, where everybody awaits, all the loved ones await for him, for his passing, and that he, she will be together on the other side. In actuality, it is a lessening device which has no other job other than to keep the mind, the soul, happy and quiet while it gets lessened and lessened into nothing. It shall be reduced, as the image can show, into an absolute nothing. All of this shall be done in order to keep the rest of its being composed of the sparklet and the existential mind, which shall end up on the dissecting table of the dismantlers, which dismantlers are in actuality entity extensions of the oblivion. Oblivion, one of the greatest mysteries, even to source itself, which we shall discuss at length soon enough. There upon the dissecting table, all memories, all feelings, all experiences shall be extracted from the existential mind. And they will be taken back by that which awarded them the oblivion. The oblivion awarded all these as resources for experience. And now it will take them back, at the same time freeing the sparklet, that point of infinite energy, so it can get claimed back by the parent spirit. And we should add that, sadly, in the absolute most cases, meaning 99.99999 and so on percent of the cases, the battery, the sparklet, is left unspent. For you see, each time we have an experience, we spend a little bit of that, of the battery. Our job is to spend the battery to zero, to discharge it, to live as many experiences as possible, because those experiences have a specific purpose, that of bonding some very important elements. And this is on how we die the wrong way. The next episode, how to die the right way.